What's up, Deep Objects? Welcome. We're here in the flesh for the first time. Welcome, you guys. I'm David Stamatis. This is the first time I've released a video chatting with you guys. I've been in Discord all week. First of all, thank you guys so much. Monday, midday was insane. We like all the energy, everybody that came out, all the support. You know, we sold out so fast. I think it says a lot to like what we pitched on this project and how we positioned it and who we talked to and the partners. All of that's still here. All of that's still here. And no matter what happens with sentiment in this space, it's volatile as shit, right? But like, this is the project we're doing, and we're not even 1 week in. And I'm here to talk to you guys about Monday, which is kind of phase 2, right? Like we get to start being creative. Brett, aka Dubious Food, been blasting Discord. I'm sure you guys have spoke with him if you're active. He's gonna do an AMA tomorrow at some point. Check details in Discord, but there he's gonna jump on and answer any questions you guys have. Probably focus more on big picture stuff for those of you that haven't read anything or haven't heard any of the AMAs of the past. I'm not gonna be able to make it tomorrow. I'm gonna be hanging with the family, so I thought I would throw this together. I'm here in my office in Colorado where I live. I've got monitors in front of me all over the place. It's late at night. But I thought it was important that I jump on and kind of give you guys a tips and tricks and of what to expect on Monday. The Curation Chamber opens up. Super excited for that. So we're gonna do a little FAQ. I'm gonna talk through it. We'll go high level and we'll go deep dive. I'll do a little run through with you guys, so you get familiar with the pacing and maybe kind of figure out the little cheat codes. And yeah, so I'll try to keep it pretty brief, but again, like stoked to see you guys and hear from you. The energy's been amazing. Let's keep it up. I've already met such cool people who see the vision that we see in the project, and that just like, it's so heartening. So again, let's jump into it. All right, guys. So here we are, Curation Chamber walkthrough. What is it? This is where, so the project, we generated 1 million unique sneaker images, sneaker inspirations. We're calling them strands. Your job as one of the community curators is to curate those strands with us, with the project, not create. This isn't a design tool. We're not asking you to design your own sneakers. I think there's been a lot of questions around the Discord, like, this doesn't look like design. We only get to like use these sliders. I'm not asking you guys to design sneakers here. The Hue did it. The Hue already did that. We are curating them. We're making choices based on our intuition, our gut instinct, and our taste. We do have a little agency to like tweak it. And that's really exciting. And I don't think a lot of projects are doing that in this space, especially around AI. There's a few generative ones that give you essentially a tool to create your own art. It's not what we're doing here. So anyway, the Curation Chamber is a curation chamber. It's not a creation chamber. That's an important distinction. Secondly, so there's two parts, right? The first part is going to ask you to pick your origin strand, which is essentially a parent seed. Which one do you fuck with the most? It's going to give you a ton of options, but there's a timer to it. There's an immediacy, and I can talk through why. The second part is going to allow you to fine tune your choice, and that gives you a little bit more time. There's less urgency. The immediacy and the timing around this kind of grid selection. There's a conceptual reason for why we made that choice, and then there's a practical reason. The conceptual reason for me, when I'm working with designers, and what kind of became for what I felt was like a little bit of a a hack, like a design hack for me in my career, was just being very decisive. Like following your gut, following your intuition, and sticking to it. Not being wishy-washy, not being indecisive, not taking forever to move forward. It's about making a decision and moving forward and refining that decision. That's like, for me, a super critical part of the creative process. And that's kind of what I wanted to instill into this step. So while it might be like, you might get a little anxiety if you see sneakers disappearing and you don't have a ton of time, like, it was deliberate. It's like we kind of gamified this step, and I want you guys to use your gut. If you see one that you fuck with, take it. That's all it is. Don't overthink it. If you see one that you love, take it. I don't want people like trying to find what looks like the most rarest one. None of that. Doesn't matter. Just take the ones that you like. Take the one that speaks to you. That's what this is all about. So that's the more high level concept. The second piece is you are competing with each other in a way in this step. If everybody goes and tries to do this at the same time, there's a limited supply. We know that. There's 10,050 origin strands, 1,005,000 total options. And there's 10,000 of you guys. So that means that you will be competing with each other to choose these ones. I think that the most striking ones are the people that have the same taste as you. If you guys are on the website at the same time, there's a world where you're competing to click that one first. There's also a world where you are a little bit slow and you select one that you want, and the screen tells you, I'm sorry, somebody already took that. So that's a reality. And so by limiting the amount of time that everybody sees those strands, we're reducing the competition between each other and kind of increasing just the competition between yourself and your own decision making. So that's kind of why we tweaked it the way we did and why it's built the way it is. I think it's enough time. It's not a ton of time, but it's enough time to see all of them. It's enough time to scan and figure out which ones you like. We have talked about maybe adding 10, 15 seconds to the beginning part. I also think there's a bit of a hack here that I'll walk you through, which is if you don't read the instructions, you get an extra 20 seconds where they don't disappear. And if you follow this video, you'll already know what to expect. All right, so let's jump into it. Okay, here we go. So we've opened our website here. We're gonna connect our wallet. This is the exact same experience you guys will have. This is right now based on our test net, so I'm not taking any sneakers off the table. The first step here is selecting your access card. If you have multiples, it'll detect it. One quick point here, which was based on a question on Discord. If you have an access card listed on OpenSea, you want to make sure that you're not selecting that one. The ones that you do want to curate, I would delist them from OpenSea. As soon as you guys get through the process and you select the sneaker, that sneaker's attached to the token, right? That sneaker's attached to your access card, and the art will update. The art will change, and it'll be clear that this one's been run through the website. There's now a strand attached to the access card, but you guys know OpenSea, updating metadata, there's a little bit of gap in time there, and we want to make sure that you're not selling an access card to somebody that has already been turned into a sneaker if they just want to buy a pass to get in. So just make sure you delist the ones that you're gonna design, just as a, it's more as a nice thing to do for anybody else on that wants to get in. For those of you that don't have access cards detected and you want to buy in, I would refresh metadata on any access card you are buying. Okay, so I'm gonna pick the first one here. These instructions, I know nobody's gonna read them, but this is essentially saying you have these two steps in the curation chamber. First step is about picking your origin strand, which is essentially parent seed. This is the one where it's like it's a disappearing grid. You have to make a quick decision. And so as soon as I press this initiate protocol, that timer starts. It's 90 seconds. I have 90 seconds to pick my favorite strand. So I'm not gonna hit it yet because I wanna prepare you guys. I'm gonna have to myself go pretty quickly here. So once you pick yours, it'll ask you if you're sure that's the one you want. Yes, I'm sure. Then you'll get into the second phase, which is fine tuning, which allows you to kind of tweak the color and tweak the shape and the morphology of that one strand you pick. Okay, so as soon as I hit initiate protocol, there's no turning back. This is my last time to like catch a breath, make sure my internet connection's good, like ready to go. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna talk. I'm gonna pick one pretty quickly. Again, if you guys bypass the instructions on this one, it'll give you a little bit more time before they disappear. You'll only know that. It's a bit of a cheat code. You'll only know that if you're listening to this video. So we're going. Timer starting. Grid's populating. I'm going to hit reveal. So now I'm on the clock. You guys can see there's some time here. I'm kind of hovering over this one on the bottom here. I think this one looks pretty dope. I'm loving these two. I'm gonna try to pick one from Deep Core. Ooh, this one really caught my eye. I'm gonna grab it. I love these ones. This is from Deep Core. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with this one. See, I saw one I liked. I saw two that I liked. And then one caught my eye and I went for it. So as this second phase loads up, this is kind of where you'll probably face the longest loading times, especially if you have a slow internet connection. I'm going to be doing this from the mountains. I'm going to have a terribly slow internet connection, so this is going to take a while. What it's doing is it's preloading every single kind of image associated with the like being able to tweak the design. And we wanted to preload everything. The caveat is its loading times are a little bit longer, but this allows us to preload all the images so you have like really clean UX. All right, so the top slider is adjusting the morphology. This will change the look of the shoe. Sometimes it'll change it a little bit, sometimes it'll change it a lot. Let's see what we get here. So I'm going to the left, changes a little bit. I'm going to the right. It's becoming kind of a completely different shoe, right? So this is the entire range of options that I have now. You can see this one on all the way on the right. It's still the same color, general white colorway, but the vibe of the shoe is completely different. Sometimes you'll get one you like more. Sometimes you want to stick with the one that you kind of originally chose. Oftentimes there's this really cool hybrid between the two that make for really interesting strands. All right, so I'm gonna speed it up here. I'm really kind of liking the one that I chose originally. I actually like how it gets. I don't love the like full saturation. Let's see. Yeah, I might stay right where I was. But I do get to fuck with the colors now. Typically there's 4 options of colors. And to be honest, I kind of fuck with the pink. I like when a little green gets in here. So I might go somewhere in here. So then I go save design. I can go back. I'm still on the clock. I have 40 seconds left. So again, it's timed, but it's enough time. Just make a decision. Have fun with it. I'm gonna save the design. Yep, point of no return. I'm gonna claim this deep object. This is when the process of the metadata getting pushed to OpenSea gets started. It should trigger this like art starting to get updated. So this strand, my token, it's attached to this strand now. No going back. This is gonna be the sneaker that reveals to me on Friday, and I will get to see if how rare it is and what traits it has. So you can go view on OpenSea, or I can go back from the beginning and choose another access card. Let's do one more with you guys. I'm not gonna burn this, I'm not gonna kind of trigger this one, but we'll go through the process one more time. Initiate protocol. Grid's populating. I don't need to read the instructions because I've already watched this video. I might go with the deep space this time. That last one was from the Deep Core collection, just so you guys know. I mean, this one's kind of speaking to me a little bit, although I do like this white high top here. Ooh, it almost disappeared, so now I gotta hurry up. I'm gonna go with this. I like the colors of this one. I like how much variation there is. So I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with it. Like, some of you will get upset because yours will disappear, but like, you gotta be quick with it. I kinda like that. You know, it's not like nobody's paying $1 million to get into this thing. Like, if you really wanna try again, go buy another one. Floor price is low, right? That's the fun part. All right, so again, it's loading up all the potential outcomes. Here we go. And see, this one has a lot less variation. It's more of a kind of color and shape deformation. I kind of fuck with high tops a little bit more, so I'm leaning more towards the full high top. So this is a deep space cluster. That's the type of sneaker. This is a deep space 120. The deep space cluster is the most common cluster. It's the most common sneaker strand cluster. Cluster just means it's kind of part of a different look and feel. Like, there's 3 different clusters: deep space, deep core, deep sphere. Deep space is kind of the it's the most common. It's also like the most futuristic looking, I would say. Feels almost like the most ownable design language out of all the AI that was generated for this project. I'm quite keen on it. Excuse me. It creates these kind of crazy, like, looping patterns that look like they were kind of part of Saturn's rings, which is why it's called deep space. And it makes some pretty dynamic silhouettes. Let's look at what our color options are here. We got a purple, a kind of blue. Ooh, I like this kind of green and red high top. I'm really into the purple and red too. I might go with the green and red high top. Yeah, I might go all the way here. So I would save this one. I'm not going to, so I can hold on to those testing cards, but yeah, so that's it, guys. Again, like, you could do this 10 times if you want. You just need 10 access passes. So that's why I think the more the merrier. The more times you'll do it, the better you'll get, more what you're looking for. And so next, guys, I'm gonna start to share. Let's go full here. I'm going to share with you guys the sneakers. There was a question. I'll look on Discord here. There's a question from, I'm sorry, this has turned into a long video, but I guess for those of you that are interested, you'll stay tuned for the whole thing. So 127 NFT on the AMA submission asked the first question: what are your favorite shoes? What's your first business? Where do you see deep objects 1 year from now, 5 years from now? Great questions. Honestly, I'm gonna let Brett answer the where do you see deep objects. Well, I can give you a quick answer, but let's start with the favorite shoes, because I think this gets to a lot of people's questions. And I dropped a thread on the Holders channel earlier today talking a lot about this, but we'll just jump into it. Let's see. Let's go here. Okay. So I'm gonna walk you guys through the three. I'm gonna walk you guys through the three. Here, let's disconnect wallet here, so we have something pretty to look at. Okay, so now I'm gonna walk you guys through the 3 cluster types. The AI, we did a lot of model training, and we repeatedly trained the model, looked at the results, went back, tweaked the data set, trained the model, looked at the results, went back, tweaked the data set, until we got things that, like, outputs that we felt were really compelling. those outputs ended up resulting in kind of 3 various clusters. The clusters are kind of strands of sneakers that came out and had kind of a specific look and feel. And the cluster is directly mapped to rarity and the traits of your final NFTs that you'll own. The first most common cluster is called Deep Space. I kind of just spoke a little bit about it, but Deep Space is kind of the most abstract. I think one of the highest potential sneakers to kind of be truly like ownable. Like, you've never seen shit that looks like this before. And even though it's the most common cluster, it has 4 different kind of morphologies, which are deep space specific attribute or trait that will show up in OpenSea on the reveal. Again, just a little housekeeping. Curation chamber open Monday morning. We'll give exact times, but open essentially Monday morning, all the way through Tuesday. And then on Friday, at the end of the week on Friday is when we'll reveal all the art on OpenSea with the traits. And in that reveal, 6 holders will receive what's called an OG OBJ pass. They'll get a direct pass into the final stage of the project, which is when we create 3D sneakers, and it's the final 30. So 6 will get a free pass into the final 30. So that could be you, right? That's like those will be the rarest parent strands or origin strands of the project. There's some other rarity traits that are important. I think there's a select trait, which is essentially my own curated selections. There's about 150 of those, more or less. I don't know exactly the number we landed on, but those will essentially get, during the first phase of voting, those will get pushed to the very top of the list, which is quite an advantage as far as the voting goes. Monday, Tuesday curation and design, Friday reveal. Let's go into the clusters. All right, here we go. I'm gonna pop open my Finder. All right, so Deep Space is the first one. Deep Space has 4 different morphologies. They're called 120, 160, 200, and 240. The higher the number, the more kind of detailed the look and feel. So let's see if I can find. So here's some examples of 120. Let me actually just go back to the main page so it looks a little more pretty. There we go. So this is an example of 120. It's kind of got these big looping forms. The shadow on the shoe's like a little bit abstract. Is it actually part of the shoe or the shadow? Of course, it's like quite abstract, but the colors tend to be really, really beautiful. Looks like it was kind of forged with like the rings of the Saturn. We executed a 3D model that you can see in the High Snobiety article of this, and I think they look incredibly cool. You'll find that the strands that you guys are choosing in this phase, they're just inspiration for what designs could be. And I find that the more abstract shoes create more opportunity for really interesting design. That's another conceptual starting point that is super important to mention, which is to say, like, my vision for this project is to have something that nobody's ever seen before, something that's truly unique, that could only have been built by this process. So if you find yourself being excited by something that kind of looks like a Converse, or kind of looks like a Dunk or Air Force One or whatever it is, For me, it's less likely that that one would win because I think everybody's going to want to have a Deep Objects own design that feels like this thing looks like it's from another world. I really think the deep space cluster embodies that concept. Another very, very cool one here. Just scroll through a few of them. So these are all Deep Space 120. Very similar morphologies, but really, really beautiful coloring. Let's see, here's some 160s. 160s are, you can see the loops are a little bit tighter. They're a little bit more like bulkier form factor, slightly more abstract. They get some really interesting artifacting at the edges, which creates, again, like opportunities for really cool design features that you kind of never seen before. Like, what kind of tongue could this be if we built this out in the 3D? Those kind of like unclear, fuzzy edges really excite me about the project. I think, you know, when there's that kind of artifacting, there tends to be more, like, look at this one, like there tends to be more opportunities for more interesting shapes. Excuse me. Yeah. So let's see if we have any 200s here. Yep. Here's a 200 set. Even tighter, smaller kind of ring details, a little bit. So 120, 160, 200, 240. Each of those, like the higher the number of morphology, the more detailed the sneaker is. And I don't even think I have any 240s on this computer now, but this one gets into that zone. The 240 would be the most rare morphology of the deep space cluster. I think there's only about 200 of them. Cool. Next one is Deep Core. These are what I would say are kind of the most familiar looking sneakers. I really love a lot of these ones. They have while they're familiar, when I say familiar, it feels like they're like, this one could be somewhere between like a Reebok and like a Balenciaga, but it's also like, I've never seen this shit before. Like, so it's got familiar features, but they also tend to have elements that are quite unique as well. I really like that kind of contrast. Like, obviously this one feels like some sort of you know, Nike Vapor Max mixed with like a Yeezy 380, right? But it's super sleek form factor and quite interesting coloring. I'll cruise through these. I think one of my favorite things about the hue and the outputs on every cluster is just the coloring on some of these is absolutely insane, almost like iridescent. Yep. So you can kind of see these kind of feel a bit more traditional, but it's also that this cluster is all over the place. So very, very cool ones here. And then the last cluster would be, it's called Deep Sphere. This is the rarest cluster. I believe there's only 750 total out of the 10,000. And these ones are interesting. The rest of the clusters are hybrids, which means when you get into that fine tuning phase of the tool, you'll be able to like essentially slide through multiple designs and get hybrids between. These ones are purebred, which means it's just one design and you can kind of slide between how crazy that one design gets. It's like a very unique feature. So if you find yourself feeling like the design's not changing, but it feels like it's evolving the design, you may have well received one of the Deep Sphere strands. And this gives you a sense of what we're looking at. So this would be the kind of one polar opposite of that first slider, and this would be the other. You can see like it's the same design, but it's almost like growing and evolving. These ones are really, I mean, lots of these look like they have kind of internal like bioluminescent lighting, really insane patterning. I really love this I really love this cluster, Deep Sphere. Yeah, what to look out for each. It's going to be pretty easy to spot the, you know, when you get to the grid, it's going to be pretty easy to spot the deep space. They all kind of, they have this super signature kind of like scalloping or there's the kind of sinuous circular forms, especially at the outsole. Again, the more detailed these look, the higher the number of morphology. So 120, 160, 200, 240. I mean, the two of these are in the final OBJs. So one of, you know, two of each cluster will make those final 6 OBJs on this first phase. Yeah, I think it's gonna be a little harder to spot the differences between Deep Sphere and Deep Core. I will say Deep Sphere, this is a kind of common look to Deep Sphere on one polar end. It's kind of got what feels like wide knit uppers. So that's something to look out for in the grid. But yeah, just go with what grabs you. There's no wrong answer. The wrong answer is to complain about it. Okay. So that covers, so what are my favorites? I never answered the question. I love them all, man. Like, my favorites actually will be the selects. The selects that pop up to the top in the reveal that have that trait, those are my favorite sneakers in the project. So you'll see that on Friday. So I'm gonna wrap it. It's super late here. You can probably tell I'm getting a little sleepy. So again, I wanted to get this out before I go hang out. I'm gonna head up to the mountains for a couple days with the family and unplug and be back at it before curation chambers closed. Get ready for art reveal and rarity reveal on Friday, which I believe is the 21st. Let me just double check that date. Yes, Friday the 21st. So two big moments this week. Hope you guys are stoked. We really are. Thank you so much. See you on Discord. Peace.